The sun is shining, the cuckoos are clucking, and the answer sheet for this seed has been left under our bed. Welcome to the wonderful, wonderful 2020 Spoiler Log Tournament for A Link to the Past. These are two great runners, Zelgadissan and Eriror. This is going to be game 3 for this, so if you want to see more from these guys, we're going to be rooting for a tie today. I am Hammerbro in the booth today, and I am joined by Clearmouse. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. As you said, we have Eri and we have Zelda. I can't think of a better way to spend my Sunday afternoon watching these guys race.
Even better if this ends up being a really, really close race that ends up in a tie and maybe a game 4 or something. I don't know. I'm pretty sure ties aren't official here, which is unfortunate because there's always fun for more random. We can hope, right?
Yeah, you know, so as you said, this is game 3 of the semifinals for this, and you know, like, these two are really top-notch runners. I always want to see these guys race again, and maybe it's too much to hope for game 4.
Yeah, probably. But either way, this is going to be really, really quick. If you guys are unfamiliar with the format, the runners have 15 minutes to run through the spoiler log and make as best of a route as they can. So you're going to see a lot of skip chests and some really low percent running, because pieces of heart aren't worth your time. Nice 3 bombs in this house, though. That's definitely worth your time.
Alright, runners mirroring each other's route, looking like setting up a tier 1 tree pull and potentially going up to the castle.
Yeah, so far everything looks fairly normal in terms of what they've chosen to do for their route. And that shows you why tier 5 or tier 1 giving you 4 more bombs.
Tier 5 tree pull, man. I can't wait for that.
And no damage.
Oh my gosh, Uncle has something that really will help us go fast in the seed.
Alright, with the super early boots, there's no problem if this ends up being a ped seed, right?
Yes. Maybe we can define what you mean by problem here.
Yep.
Looks like we should have, in this case, both runners looks like they're picking up some more bombs. Oh, we have a little bit of divergence. Eri did end up picking up an extra piece of heart. So maybe that safety will come handy, but looks like Zelda wants something more inside the castle.
Yep, early divergence is always fun, because when you have like a super linear seed, it's interesting to watch, but then you always know who's kind of ahead and behind. And when you have stuff like this happen, where one person just hangs a left and the other person hangs a right, it's a lot of fun. Wow, that was really nicely done by Zelda. It's a lot of fun just having no idea who's ahead and behind for the most part.
Yeah, these given the caliber of both these runners, that bomb setup certainly is not uncommon, but certainly always really great to see runners be able to execute that. Alright, swordless. Eri is making his way into Mini Moldrum Cave. I'm sure there will be lots of goodies back here because there are 5 potential items. Meanwhile, we saw Zelda pick up Ether.
Yeah, which we know by looking at the tracker down at the bottom, that Ether is going to be required for Meyer, since we have vanilla medallion requirements. And there is a sword. That goes wonderfully with those boots.
Yeah, certainly Eri cherry-picked his way through Mini Moldrum Cave, as you said, pick up that sword, and along with a bow. And 20 rupees. So Eri so far has the rupee lead over Zelda here.
If Eri cherry-picked it, is it Eri picking?
Yeah, these are always kind of the niceties that you want. You want early boots, which really just increases your mobility. And hey, we see a Moon Pearl from Bonk Rocks. That's something that's pretty useful.
Yeah, we are still holding out on potential Dark World access, though. We need a couple more things. At minimum, a hammer. But mitts and flippers would do it for us, outside of having to do some shenanigans to get across the water.
Alright, we have some further divergence. Eri has decided to make his way to Kakariko, picking up his Titan Smiths out of Blind's basement, whereas Zelda had picked up his Power Gloves out of the dam, and looks like he wants something in Agina's cave.
That's a really nice use of spin speed there for Eriror, being able to fly through all of Kakariko.
Zelda picking up silvers from Agina's cave. That is a really nice and fast upgrade. Will be really nice to be able to have that for lots of bosses. We have Lanmo, we have Vitreous.
Yeah, Lanmo and Vidi at the least, not to mention certain portions of bosses are made slightly easier depending on what your other equipment is, so not something we're saying no to. Although, I'm not gonna lie, seeing Eriror head towards Green Pendant Skull Woods in under 5 minutes in is maybe something we'd rather say no to.
Alright, in the back of Escape, Zelda picking up a blue mail upgrade. That will certainly net him some good safety when he makes his way to Dark World. Meanwhile, yes, as you said, Eri is in Skull Woods on green mail for now currently 3 hearts. I am hoping he doesn't have to fight Mothula in his current situation. However, I do have confidence that if he needs to do this, Eri should be able to take this down no problem.
I think no problem might be overstating it, honestly, but it would be fun to watch, that's for certain. And it does look like we might get what we want here as we're going into the back, so there's a 50-50 chance here that we're going to go see Mothula. We are diverting it so far.
It looks like Zelda is going to make his round in Kakariko.
And a flute in the back of Skull Woods. That is going to be required. It's also going to make things a heck of a lot faster to run around with as we get a wonderful 300 rupees in the chicken hut.
Yeah, something that Eri did not end up picking up at his side, so we will see if money will help him out here for Zelda. I mean, money is always useful. You can buy potions. You can take something off of Bottle Vendor. Also could be money for Chess Game and Dig Game in the future. And with 300 rupees, you're pretty much set for whatever you need minus Sora.
Yeah, that's a good point. You're probably going to want to be careful here. Down to 1 heart. In a dungeon right now, so we're okay, but it's somewhat scary here. Alright, we do have another heart, so now we have 5 total, which is not bad.
Kind of one characteristic about very top tier runners is that they know the margins for how close they can get to enemies without getting hit. And Eri definitely showed us how close you could get to Gyptos without taking damage.
Yeah, no kidding. A lot of these hitboxes are, I don't want to be mean and call them wonky, but they're wonky, and the people who have played this game for just hours and hours and hours and hours know exactly where those hitboxes start and stop. As we do get flippers on a chess game there, so it's just these items are coming fast and furious right now.
Yeah, speaking of those cherry-picked red rupees, and those that 60 rupees has gone a long way so far for Eri.
Yeah, no kidding. Hopefully we won't need the dig game, because if we do, we're going to be 50 short right now, but other than that, we're looking pretty good until we need pod. Well,
did you say something about 50 rupees, Hammer, and being short?
We would have been short.
Yes. Alright, looks like Zelda has picked up his flute out of the back of Skull Woods, doing a save and quit. So my guess is that he does not want that extra heart container that Eri picked up in Pinball Room.
Yeah, that's fair, but keep in mind that Zelda did grab that blue mail, so it's a matter of preference, I think, since I'm not sure that Eriror is going to be picking up that blue mail anytime soon. Alright, and into the back of Thieves' Town we go. Still haven't found anything here, so either Eriror is just looking to knock out an early crystal, or something in the back here is actually useful. And Eriror is looking forward to knocking out an early crystal, and my goodness, that was a perfect God Pixel there.
Yeah, certainly not surprising coming from Eri, but always very nice to see. It's not RNG is not always in your favor there. Alright, Zelda has picked up his flippers out of chess game. Looks like he will also make his way into Thieves' Town. Despite some early divergence, they have roughly the same set of equipment. Zelda here does, as you said, has blue mail, but is short 1 extra heart container, whereas Eri has 5 total hearts to work with, but only on green mail.
Yeah, Zelda does also have the silvers, and careful! Oh, that was close on Eriror's side. Nice little light footwork there to avoid those fireballs. Zelda also does have ether and silvers. The first of which we're going to have to see at some point from Eriror. The second, perhaps not, but I feel like, especially with that flute in hand, we're probably going to be picking up those silver sooner rather than later.
Yeah, and given that as you said, silvers probably won't help them in this fight, it certainly won't be Eri's disadvantage in this fight as well. Alright, picking up Quake for a pendant turtle rock. We will see if we end up needing it.
Yeah, see, that's one of those interesting locations where it could have just been muscle memory that led Eriror to go ahead and grab that. Or it could be something a bit more sinister.
Zelda not having as fortunate of luck as Eri did through that hellway, but makes it through safely, which is the most important part.
Blind, meanwhile, making a joke about, nuclear stuff. He's fission for a laugh.
I'm always curious, Hammer, have you ever submitted anything to Blind's text in this game?
Yes, I have.
Was that one?
Hey, super useful items. Say hello to Mirror, so now we can actually activate that stinking flute.
Yeah, but certainly then might explain why Zelda chose not to activate the flute when he was in the Light World the first time on his way to go into Thieves' Town. So because he can just pick up that flute, he can pick up the mirror with that blind drop. Mirror immediately just as Eri doing, and then activate the flute immediately here.
So speaking of hitboxes, is Eriror gonna end up in the Dark World?
That is a good question. I hope not. Or maybe it's all planned. Looks like iframes do not expire.
Alright, the more you know. And Eriror is going to be evening out that rupee count a little bit here. Sorry to overtalk you.
Oh, no worries. I was just going to say that Eri definitely did a good job managing the runaway kid to make sure that he doesn't dash until that guy starts moving.
Alright.
Activated money. Yeah, Eri is making his way to Meyer.
Yeah, so without ether in hand, we can't actually do anything in Meyer, so we are headed in the desert. That's kind of an interesting call here. This is usually something that our runners like combining together if they can. And we know that Eriror is not going to do that because we know the location of ether, and it's not here in desert.
Yeah, that is a very excellent point. because certainly Eri, if he had an intention to combine Desert and Mire, he certainly had the ability to pick up Ether, as Zelda did, before making a visit to Desert. Picking up the lamp, though, that is always a really nice quality of life item. They do have the fire rod for this, so fire source is not an issue. However, given that we see that Mire and Pod are crystals, having that lamp before visiting their basements is certainly very nice to have.
Yeah, and speaking of Pod, there's no guarantee that Zelga's headed into Pod directly, but we are definitely dashing in that direction very quickly here.
Man, we need some very brief hope for a catfish visit, but I guess that is not today.
Yep, no pyramid either, so at this point we are looking at Pod without the hammer. And on Zelga's side, without the lamp either.
We can always have the classic, hammer and pod type of invariant, as we say.
I mean,
it is.
Sure. We don't want it there.
It looks like Zelda, in this case, yes, wants to... he cannot take the Flute 5 spot to get to the Dark World because Flute 5 spot requires a hammer.
Wow, that is a nice blue goo sitting there in the back of Sahasrar's hut. Nicely done.
Yes, very nice Lambo fight on Eri's side. That third Lambo had a unfortunate short hop, but Eri was able to account for it.
Yeah, I still don't understand how that works. Like, if I see a short hop, I'm just like, oh, well, there goes the one cycle. And these guys are like, no, come back here.
You can't get a 123 at NMG without kind of knowing how to deal with Lambo.
Yeah, you can. It's called getting lucky.
Alright, we'll be sure and tell Eri that.
Oh no, I'm not saying that for the rest of it. I'm just saying you can have a lucky Lambo. And if not, it's just called an 18-minute restart. Yep, and as I anticipated, Eri are going to go ahead and grab those silvers. It's a little bit quicker on Eri's side since we do have the flute as well as the boots, but not too much lost or gained on either side there.
Yeah, it is kind of debatable whether or not it would have been faster to pick up the silvers before fighting Lambo. He had a very, very nice fire rod fight, and the amount of time that silvers would have saved may not have been worth it, or maybe even greater just because of the routing.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there was no time lost there with the quick one cycle there either way. So, and actually, with the big key here, Zelda might not even have to go into the maze as I say that, but well, he's headed back up, so probably something here in the maze. Or hammer yump, that works too.
Yeah, there could be something just in the big chest. But we certainly do know that with advanced logic, everything in that dark basement, because there are torches there and Zelda has the fire rod, is actually in logic. For whatever logic means in a spoiler log race.
Yes, for the room off to the right. This would still technically be out of logic, although burn the witch.
Did you see what lit up? Did you see what lit up in the dark maze of Pod?
Yeah, I saw it lit up in the dark maze of Pod. Alright, so with the hammer, we'll be able to actually clear this stinking dungeon. That'll be crystal number 2 for Zelda once completed. Eriror already has 2 down and is taking a different route up to Pod. Whereas Zelda dashed straight across, Eri decided to take the south route instead.
Yeah, so based on what we know and have seen on Zelda's side, we know that Eri is going to be able to complete Pod when he's here. He will have the lamp, so he will not have to navigate any dark rooms. However, given the speed at which Zelda did those dark rooms, it should be pretty negligible.
Yeah, and part of that is the fact that with the hammer yump, that bottom chest is not something that takes very long to get to. So, although we do still have the turtle room, assuming that Zelda is able to fire rod stuff relatively quickly, get that torch lit up, it shouldn't be a big deal. But if there's some difficulty there, it could end up losing Zelda a little bit of time.
Yeah, as you said, Zelda's gonna put that fire rod to good use here.
Yeah, I probably lost a couple of seconds over an optimal turtle room, which I'm not going to guarantee that we'll see from Eriror because I'm a big fan of not cursing my runners. But probably going to end up losing a couple seconds in that room over Eriror.
Yeah, it is also just kind of the nature of not having a lamp versus having a lamp, right? I mean, you know, if you're trying to look for something in the dark, you know, you're just gonna naturally lose a little bit of time. But, I mean, Zelda got through those rooms very, very nicely.
Nice! Able to take out the really early silver onto Helmasaur, didn't give him a chance to move or juke or anything. So that is a wonderful burrito that Zelda gets to take a munch on during this quick break here, as Eriror is just waiting for the mini Helmasaur, who was kind of being a butt.
Yeah, and as Chad has pointed out, before Eri came into Pod, he was able to pick up another sword out of K45, and he will have a Master Sword when he decides to face Helma. However, given that what we've seen on Zelda's side with only Fighter Sword but with Silvers, that sword difference probably won't make any, won't actually be of note here.
It is kind of interesting that Zelda has decided to nope out and is going to go ahead and go into Hype Cave or Swamp, I would assume. Probably Swamp, given that we have the hammer now. Or maybe not.
Looks like he will probably take a detour to K45 to pick up his sword.
Yeah, good call.
You know, as good as these runners are, I certainly don't envy anybody who wants or has to do Fighter Sword Argus. I mean, Master Sword Argus is already kind of unpleasant as is, you know, and I certainly don't want to wish Fighter Sword on anybody.
Yeah, that's a fair point. All 7 of the wonderful Dark World bosses are not really made for Fighter Sword fights. They're really not, and most of them don't even take damage from Fighter Sword slashes, so it's just not fun at all.
You mean to tell me that they're actually expected to have something like the Master Sword or better when they come here in the Dark World?
I mean, expected. It doesn't necessarily always seem that way based upon how they play, but yeah, we're supposed to have something a little better than plastic.
Eri showing us a beautifully executed turtle room, very NMG-esque. In fact, this is very similar to the type of equipment that you would have in an MG run, minus the silver arrows.
Alright, so can we have a discussion about this game?
I'm listening, Hammer. What would you like to talk about?
Okay, so we went into Pod, and we got the hammer. Zelda's currently missing an item to complete Swamp. I'm just saying.
I see what you're saying. I'm not sure if I quite like the logical conclusion of this.
I mean, I'm not saying hookshot's in here. I'm just saying either Zelda made a big goof, or the hookshot is in here or behind here, since we're gonna have to come back in here if it's not.
I am just thinking how fun this scene would have been to run if you didn't have the spoiler log.
I got a buddy I can give this seed to.
Buddy? Is he still going to be your buddy after this?
That, we'll see. I'll let you know.
Hey, friend! Have I got a treat for you?
Eriror is going to grab that blue goo from the back of Hospital's hut. So that is one extra safety that they both have now. Yep, there it is!
So we have 2 progression items in a French vanilla location. So we have the hammer in pod, but it was in the dark maze, and we have the hookshot in swamp, not in the big chest. Really, this is like convenience, right, for the runners. It's like, oh, you need the hookshot to complete this dungeon? Well, here, let me just make sure I put it in the dungeon so you have it just in case you need it, right?
So was Cane of Samaria and Lyre then? I feel like that's the only other option we have for silly item locations of that type.
Now, what are the chances that 3 progression items are going to be like that?
I don't know. What are the chances there's 2 of them? I feel like we throw the odd book out in this situation.
Yeah, so as we're talking about the Cane of Samaria here, Eri does not have the cane while making a dive into crystal ice.
Yeah, so we are not going to be able to see Icebreaker from, at the very least, Eriror. We might see it from Zelda, depending on where that Cane of Samaria that we were talking about is actually located. But not going to be done from Eriror, so we're going to see a good old-fashioned bomb jump.
Yeah, certainly with the popularity of Icebreaker, I know a lot of runners almost now refuse to go into ice without the cane unless there's absolutely no other choice. So it's always kind of refreshing to be able to see the dungeon cleared the more classical broken way.
Yes, there's different levels of breaking for Ice Palace. You know your dungeon sucks if there's like 4 different ways to break it, and the assumption is that you're going to use at least one of those ways. Come on, Nintendo, fix Ice Palace. It's terrible.
Oh, we see a very nice bomb setup here for the pin gators on Ari's side. And of course, as Ari is just tearing through Ice Palace, the old, the pre-Icebreaker days, we saw some really nice execution on Zelda's side, fighting Argus with only 5 hearts, but a very nice Master Sword fight nonetheless.
Yeah, being able to double spin or get those puffs at 2 per spin is not easy to do. I know our runners make it look easy. Oh. And with Eriror not having the hook shot, we're going to do a fun little bomb jump. Hopefully that berry won't get in the way. Okay, good.
Alright, speaking of semi-convergence, Zelda is going to make his way into ice. And, as we just saw Eri do that bomb jump, because he does not have a hook shot, he does not have an option to get over on this side. However, Zelda, having the hook shot in hand, will not need to do the bomb jump. Most likely he will hook shot over. But of course, he can always show us the bomb jump for swag.
Yeah, that's fair. And if you're feeling really, really good about that bomb jump, I guess you could. But I feel like hook shot's probably faster, unless those berries really get in the way. Ari's going to want to be careful here, though. Down to 1 heart. We do have that blue goo, but Ari is probably going to prefer to not use it.
Ari remembering to bomb the floor open here to get to the big chest, which will have our Cane of Samaria. Oh, man.
So we have 2 items in vanilla-ish locations, and then 1 item in a spot that you really don't want it to be, because, dang it, I want to do Icebreaker.
Yeah, talk about inconvenience for the seed in Ice Palace here. We had the convenient hammer, right, that let us complete pod. We had the convenient hookshot that let us complete swamp, and then this says, oh, you know what? I think we're gonna let you do Ice Palace the normal way.
Alright, so I'm gonna have to stop you there. A hammer in pod is never convenient, because if the hammer's in pod, you either have to do Aga, or have to meander your butt all the way around the Dark World. So I'm gonna call that a nope on convenient. Well, that was a nice double hit for Eriror there. And that's all she wrote. Cold Stare is down.
Yeah, Master Sword Cold Stare is really not easy. despite how fast these runners make it.
Yeah, and speaking of speed here, we are sitting at sub 30, and Eriror has 4 crystals, with Zelda right behind. This is going to end up being a pretty quick seed, and I think that we might just be in no mode, maybe?
Eri did pick up the quick medallion, so if there is something on Trinex, we might still have to do a traditional ice rock hunt.
I mean, sure, but is there anything that could be on Trinex at this point?
Oh, that is a good question.
I think we've got everything.
Yeah, that is true.
All we really need to beat at this point, on Zelga's side, for instance, is Mire and Desert, both of which are going to be full clearable, especially after grabbing that Cane of Samaria, and then Hera, which is, we don't need anything from Hera, so we're good to go, I think.
Yeah, good to go. 6 hearts, green mail, master sword. Let's go fight Ganon!
Yeah, about that. And for those in chat who are asking, Ether was Hyrule Castle?
Yeah, Hyrule Castle, not Zelda's chest. The one before.
Boomerang Castle.
The boomerang, yes.
And then I believe that, I mean, this is obviously personal opinion because we haven't talked to Eriror yet, but I believe that Eriror grabbed Quake just out of habit of, I pick up the Maiden from Blind Cell, and then I go ahead and grab that chest. Because even if you've done a bunch of these spoiler logs, muscle memory is hard. It's really, really hard to overwrite, especially for split-second things like that.
Yeah. As we're speculating about, Eri, Zelga's Colster fight. I mean, if I thought like Ares was beautiful, Zelga was a damageless Colster fight. He really did he made amazing use of that blue potion and Fire Rod, keeping all the puffs together. Really, really well done on Zelga's side.
Yeah, and speaking of, we're going to get a quick refill of that blue goo, so Zelda knowing his limits and deciding, that blue goo is probably worth it if I'm going to be finishing this seed on blue mail and 5 hearts. Overall, in spite of the somewhat trolly item locations that we had here, that would have been more trolly for not being a spoiler log seed, I should mention. This is going by pretty quickly. We've only got a couple of dungeons left here.
Yeah, and both our runners are in go mode, correct? Mine Harry.
Yeah, Eriror is still going to need that Ether medallion.
Yeah, but other than that, they're just going to tear through these dungeons. Harry picking up half magic along the way. I do not believe that we saw Zelda pick that up.
Nope. So that's kind of interesting, because most runners will grab that if it's along the way. It's kind of interesting that Zelda chose not to. Well, Eriror just sneaking by that water tech type. That was close. Now, I'm sure both our runners would love another sword. All things considered, Tempered Sword makes everything way easier than Master Sword does. But in terms of requirements, we're good to go. It's just time to blow some stuff up.
Alright, so we actually do see our runners in chat joining us, providing us with their insightful answers to our speculation. Hi Eri, hi Zelga. If certainly feel free to wish these guys luck for the rest of their run.
Yeah, and don't be angry if they don't respond. They're currently trying not to die. But that does actually. Good.
Oh no, I was just going to say that for the caliber of these runners, or how fast they're moving and how well they're executed, still somehow have the mental energy and physical ability to also type and interact with in chat. I mean, it's like they have I always thought they could be superhuman, but this is just further evidence.
Yeah, that's a good point. I was gonna say this highlights one of the main differences between a regular rando race and spoiler log, is that we run it more like an NMG because the runners technically. Okay, well you went 2 for 3 Zelgas. That was okay, but you were a little early on that first one, or on the second one. Since the runners do know where everything is, we allow them to either watch each other stream if they so desire, or if they're really crazy, watch the restream and type in chat if they want to. So, yeah, it's fun. Very few people actually take us up on the typing and chat thing, but as you've seen, we have a couple people who don't mind using it during quick cutscenes.
Alright, so we do see a consequence here of a very early routing divergence decision. Zelda, in a sense, is going to really be able to conveniently combine basically Mire and Desert together because he picked up the Ether Medallion early. Eri, on the other hand, had to take a detour basically to pick up Ether, and then now he's going to go back to Mire.
Yeah, and that being said, I'm pretty sure that we are all tied up at this point. So what you see is what you're getting in terms of who's ahead / behind. So Zelda having about 20 to 30 seconds, but with this amount of health and these amount of safeties and only a Master Sword, that can go up pretty quickly in smoke. Well, there's a Popo. That single enemy has ruined more Mire rooms than any other enemy.
Arguably, you know, and it's ironic, right? Because I think it's like the weakest enemy out of everything that's here.
Right, like you see those in Eastern. But it just meanders in the wrong direction, and then you're sitting there like, I got them all, right? No, you didn't. There's one way off screen over there.
Alright, so we do see one notable difference, at least between Eri and Zelda in terms of equipment, is that Eri does have half magic. So he will be able to spam that fire rod much more liberally than Zelda here would. Zelda is still, though, making very efficient use of his magic, making sure he has just enough fire rod shots to light up the torches.
That is a good point. That could end up being a bit of a difference in the gauntlet later on, actually. Because it's not really going to matter for Vitreous, because we're just going to be using silvers here. And it's not really going to matter for Moldorm, because, well, we're just going to be using the hammer or sword spins. But for the gauntlet, that could end up being a difference.
Yeah, even if these runners end up finding a third sword, just having the fire rod, because it's a ranged weapon as well, it certainly actually can still make things faster.
Looks like Eriror loaded the Spooky Mire as well, Zelda having successfully completed it.
Yeah, in the actually, so you know, as you said, this is game 3 between these runners for this particular set, matchup. However, these runners have actually played each other. This is actually the 4th time they faced each other in this tournament. The first time being in the Swiss stages, and in that game, Zelda ended up doing Spooky in the dark against Eri successfully. So you know, so given that he can do that, yeah. So given that he can do that in the dark, you know, it's always kind of nice to be able to see, you know, him being able to do that, and you know, in the light.
I mean, I feel like as a spectator, I'd rather see it in the dark. Like, show me. That's insane.
Alright, crystal number 6 down for Zelda, making his way to Death Mountain.
Yeah, thankfully not getting dead rock there. That's a wonderful, quick and easy way to lose 10 seconds.
Yeah, is this our first trip to Death Mountain?
Yes.
It is somewhat uncommon.
Okay.
Oh, okay, good.
I almost had to apologize there.
Yeah, I was a bit worried for that dead rock position, but you know, luckily Zelda knows how to squeeze right by.
Yeah, Zelda must be a little hungry there, but the advantage of not having eaten just before you do this race that you can squeeze by that dead rock. That was close.
Harry is certainly not far behind. This is an incredibly close race. I mean, there's so many more opportunities coming up as well to have a lead change.
Oh yeah, Zelda's sitting at probably about 15 to 20 seconds ahead at this point, but yeah, like I said, that can very easily just poof. So this is the finish we want to see. It'll also kind of be interesting to see if we get a tempered sword, you know, somewhere, anywhere, please, somewhere, before we have to fight Ganon.
Well, we have basically 2 locations left. We have Hera and we have GT. And probably we'll have parts of GT based on where that big key location would be.
Well, there it is.
Oh, well, that's easy. Alright, no Master Sword Silvers today.
Alright, so one quick way to gain or lose time here is how quickly you can manage to get this nicely done. Eri, you're going to go ahead and take a Death Warp since he was down to 1 heart. Going to lose a little extra time there, but hopefully we'll be able to get this this Hera pot clip done, and then we can just roll through it and hopefully not get trolled by the Mulborn, because Mulborn is a lot of fun boss.
We actually do get to see 2 different setups for Hera pot. I think Zelda ended up doing hook speed, right? And looks like Eri did the bomb setup.
Alright, so super quickly, there are 22 locations in the basement of GT that could contain that big key. Don't give me a number, since we're going to be skipping a boatload of chests if it's farther in. Just go ahead and give me a location. So, without making any reference to whether or not you've seen the spoiler log, are you hoping for an early big key here or a later one?
Well, that is it. That's a good question. So I guess I want the race to go on for as long as it possibly can, so I want later.
I'd love to see some late game execution here, so I'm going to agree with you. I want it to be in, like, Bob's chest or something. And no, I have no idea where it is. I don't look at GT generally, just so I can be pleasantly surprised.
Alright, there is potential for later here. Zelda is making his way onto the left side.
Well, I guess it's not Bob's chest anymore because the torch was just used. And, you know, something interesting in the chat's been pointing out, Eriror is currently arrowless. So,
Do you say arrowless or arrowless? Hey man, if you get to make a joke like that, I get to make a joke like this.
Judge you. I thought about it as I said it. That was an interesting hook shot to the torch to grab that key just a little bit faster.
Yeah, I mean, one thing to actually point out about these runners' execution. So we're watching 2 incredibly two runners who have beautiful, you know, extremely strong execution. Sometimes it's actually easy to forget how good these runners are because we're only comparing them to each other. Right. These guys have not given up any edge to their to each other so far. So it really goes to show you how good these guys are both.
The problem is that the big key here is in the next room. So I'm not sure what Eriror is gonna do about arrows here. Did you really Are you kidding me? Come on! He literally just intentionally frame ruled. Oh my goodness. Alright, so here goes Eriror. I guess we're doing some mimic clips. Oh, nope. Eriror was just hoping to get a drop there, so I Ooh, that's really, really unfortunate. Guess we're going to Hookshot Cave to see if they have some. If not, he could make use of that lovely quick medallion.
Yeah, at least one thing to note is that we do, in the spoiler log, we do have, in addition to, let's say, like the tree pools, we do have enemy drops as well. Or sorry, not enemy drops. Yeah, no,
The sun prize. And
yes, that's right. Thank you so much, Hammer. I meant to think about the sun prize.
I believe the sun prize is bombs, so that's not going to be helping anybody out today. That was a really good gauntlet from Zelda. I would like to have a quick PSA. These rooms are hard. They're called the gauntlet for a reason. Don't let Zelda fool you. But at this point, with the extra trip out, it is Zelda's race to lose. He does have probably about a minute to minute and a half, and of course that freaking Mimic drops a 5 arrow like just to rub it in.
Yeah, I was gonna say, couldn't you drop those arrows a little bit sooner?
Yeah, it is Zelda's race to lose. There's still a couple of places where you could lose a bit of time. Hold on to fall, obviously. Even having difficulty in these next couple of rooms here could lose you a little bit of time if you, for some reason, fall off and don't hit a torch. And then there's, of course, Aga 2. What we don't know is the Aga 2 patterns, and sometimes those are not user-friendly, we'll say, to be as polite about it as I physically can. So there's still some opportunity here, but at this point, Zelda is in the driver's seat.
So showing us a little swag, fire rod dashing there.
Fire!
I don't think we have to worry about damage output to Ganon now.
Alright, speaking about worrying, Eriror is sitting on half a heart.
Oh wow. Did you see that dash? Right? Just skirts by that fireball.
This is fine. No, it's not fine. I nearly had a heart attack. Nicely done, Moldorm 2.
Yeah, I believe that Eri does not have another potion. He did not go and refill as Zelda did after Cold Stare.
Speaking of arrow drops, come on! This is something the randomizer enjoys doing. If you're ever low on something and you really have to go the long way to go grab it, then your next, like, 5 or 6 things seen are going to be that item. Whatever it may be it rupees or bombs or arrows, it just doesn't matter. It's just how it's going to be. Nicely done there.
Yeah, I heard you want to do Icebreaker and Ice. Let me just give you the cane right after you do Ice.
Nice! Triple double there. So 3 cycle for Zelda, pretty nicely done. Eriror having to be really careful about those lasers because with Green Mail they do 4 hearts if I'm not mistaken, which is more than Eriror currently has. Eriror is skipping butter, which isn't really a big deal. If you're confident in the 1-on-1 for Ganon with the Tempered Sword, then the Butter Sword is going to save you at this point.
Being the very talented NNG runner that Eri has, I believe he is practiced in Tempered Sword Ganon.
Alternatively, you could just skip Moldorm too. That works as well. Nice hover.
Eri has a multitude of talents here.
That was close. Those fire bats were close.
Is doing some very fancy footwork here, avoiding the fire bats. He is past the most dangerous stages, so as long as he's consistently hitting Ganon, we should be okay.
I feel like that's a good general rule. Yeah, Eriror gonna lose 1 cycle because he only got a single off of that first one. Hopefully not a blue ball here. Okay, good. So that's gonna be a 4 cycle for Eriror. And we just have silver arrows. So we're going to get 2 or 3 here. And there we go. Woo!
Oh wow, very nice triple by Zelga. What a race. Wow. So there is only the bridge crossing for Zelda, and then he can take the series versus Eri.
Nicely done. Get your GGs in chat for Zelda, finishing in first place with an official SRL time of 1 hour, 3 minutes, and 28 seconds. Zelda mentioning an SRL chat. I got a lucky 10 drop in Mire too, or else I was similarly screwed. And yes, you would. That's actually one of the low-key, most difficult parts about this race, is that you're not picking up bombs, you're not picking up arrows, you're not picking up rupees. So if you're not constantly paying attention to it, and you kind of get a couple of lucky drops in there to help you out, then you could find yourself in a situation where you just don't have bombs or don't have arrows in it. And that's really, really hard to try and figure out, because like early game is pretty obvious. You're going to need some bombs for Kakariko, you're going to need some rupees for the bottom ender, that sort of thing. But as it devolves and goes on, it's kind of difficult to be like, okay, I'm going to need arrows after fire. Where am I going to get them?
Yeah, this is certainly not the first spoiler log race that has been decided due to resource management. Certainly won't be the last.
Eriror dropping in a wonderful triple there to finish things off. I'm fairly certain it's going to be a sub 50 for Eriror as well, and that was an insane race from the both of them. Really unfortunate about the arrows, but spoiler log does that. So get your GGs in chat for Eriror, finishing in second place with an official SRL time of 1 hour, 4 minutes, and 56 seconds. And with both times, I forgot to mention, those times do include the 15-minute spoiler log time. So the actual run-in time is probably going to be what you see on screen. Just barely sub 50 for both of them. Whew, that was a sprint.
That was a sprint. I mean, these, even though I think early game equipment, you got boots early, you got the flute relatively early, still, to sub 50th seed is, by both rounds, super impressive.
We are joined by Eriror. GG.
Yep. Probably should wait until Zelda finally drops in here.
Yeah, I mean, Zelda is currently in the setup, so I'm going to let him know that he is free to join whenever he wants. And there we go. GG to the both of you. That was, you wanted your early boots and you got them. And you wanted to not have to do too much and you got that too. This seed was pretty friendly overall.
Yeah, no complaints. But yeah, Zelda definitely outrouted me in this one. That was really well done. Like, I didn't expect to be behind going into Mire, but he definitely showed up today. Holy moly.
Yeah, the routing was weird on this one. You had so many options, like when do you get the flute? When do you get the silvers? When do you get your hook shot? When do you get Samaria? It was really weird trying to piece together what I thought would be the best route here. I feel like I did okay, but I also was seeing some of the things Eri was doing, like, oh yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Maybe I should have done it that way. So I don't know.
It was super weird because I really felt like I made big execution mistakes and all that. So I guess having the hookshot for Ice Palace does help a little bit. So maybe turning those around helps, but I didn't know the bump setup for Diver Down. So I was like, okay, if I do that in Swamp, then I save 10 seconds. But I was like 30 seconds behind in Maya. I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to actually work hard for this. And yeah, then the arrow mishap happened. Otherwise, it maybe would have been close if I had a really good GT. But then it was super well done. GG's, dude.
No, thanks. GG's. This was a crazy race for sure. The whole reason I chose Swamp before Ice Palace was so I could get that half magic, and then I just ran right past it like a dummy. So I was thinking, that's going to save more time on Cold Stare than it's going to me doing the extra bomb jump there in Ice, and because I don't have the hook shot. And yeah, I just completely goofed on the half magic. But yeah, I feel like getting Ether was probably kind of nice in Hyrule Castle, but at the same time, like when you come back with swords and boots, it's not that big of a time loss.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't think it would save that much time going for it already. So yeah, definitely maybe going north route to Pal and grabbing the sword later. Maybe that saves quite a bit. I'm not sure. I didn't think that would be that much longer either. So there were a lot of small things, like you save and quit after getting flu, I think.
Yeah, and I still am not honestly sure what's faster there between saving and quitting and running all the way back or going through in and out of Skullwoods.
See, and this is what makes these kind of races really fun, because we can sit here and talk about it and we're still really not sure. Like, there's so many little things that could potentially save a second here or 2 seconds here, 5 seconds there, and you don't know, because it's not stuff that you would normally route for, even in like a randomizer race.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's definitely really interesting trying to piece together what you think is going to be the best route under such a time crunch. Like I say it every single race. 15 minutes sounds like a lot of time when you're watching, and when you're actually running, 15 minutes flies by so fast. It's insane trying to actually get everything together.
So the biggest mistake I actually made was actually grabbing the 300 in Chicken Hut, because I turned out that I didn't need it. I was like scrolling through the list of like rupee drops and all that stuff. And it turns out that Lano had a 50 rupee drop, so I didn't actually need to pick up the 300 for it to get into pod. And I was like, no!
Yeah, I just kind of did a quick search for a 300. I was like, well, that's all my money. I didn't even really look to see if there were convenient bosses or anything.
Yeah, I just wanted to land. But yeah, again, it's so many small things that were different. So, but damn, it was a really fun race.
I do feel bad that I feel like I won this race by being bad, because my Mire 2 was so unclean that I had to go chase down a Popo, and the Wizrobes were dropping arrows. So I grabbed an extra 10-pack in that room, and that's the only reason I had enough arrows to do GT well, because I was bad at Mire 2.
I already knew I needed arrows by the time I did Desert, and I picked up the 5-drop on the way to the big key, but then I didn't pick up the 5-drop before Lamo, because usually I do the AD strat where you like use Fire Rod, but I didn't have Tempered Sword, so I needed all the Fire Rod shots I could get. So I didn't actually go past the arrow pod. So then I picked up 10 in pod, and afterwards I don't actually think I ever got another 5 or 10 drop, and I was just all out. And I need to check if I actually saw arrows in Mario 2, but it could be that. There were a couple of pods that I just skipped because I wanted to go fast, and that was greedy.
Yeah, it did seem like during your climb of GT proper, everything was dropping arrows, which is usually how that works after you need something and you can't get it in time.
Yeah, and usually you do kill a couple of things in the price pack that the Wizrobes belong to, like all the guards, crabs, all that stuff. And this time, I guess there was just no real reason to see any of those, and yeah, that happens. It happens.
Oh, so Zelga, GG, are you looking forward for your for the next round here?
I really thought I was going to be done after today. So my Swiss losses were to Eri and Aussie. So my reward here is to play Aussie. So it should be an interesting series. I will go into that the same way I went into this, expecting to lose, but hoping to have some good races. So yeah, it should be fun.
Awesome. And Eriror, we're sorry to see you go. You're definitely one of the best runners of this game. Did you enjoy the tournament here overall?
I just love spoiler luck. For me, it's just the best of both worlds, and I've had a blast. I wish my work schedule and all that cooperated more so I could join more pickup races. Also, being in the wrong time zone doesn't help, because usually when I want to do the races, I need to go to bed. So that doesn't help either. So yeah, it's not the same when there's like no pressure. If you just do it by yourself, it just doesn't feel the same as when you can actually watch someone else run the game as well. And that to me is the entire charm of it. Like, it would be even better if I was able to actually just sit with Zelda in a voice call and be like, "Yeah, this route sucks, doesn't it? Yeah, it really does. Like this is terrible. I have no idea what I'm doing." Like that's the part of like running that I love. But if it's going to be another tournament, I will be instantly joining because this is great.
Awesome. I mean, I feel like, and I've attempted a couple of spoiler log races, right? And between my personal experience and between talking to all of the runners after these races, I feel like unless it's a perfectly linear seed, you're sitting there going, "This route sucks" the whole time. Like it doesn't stop. It's a constant mantra in your head. Like there's two phrases that are running through your head: "Don't die, don't die, don't die," and "This route sucks. This route sucks. I could have saved 5 seconds here, 10 seconds there, a minute and a half there." Like it's just you're constantly thinking it the whole time while you're running it because we don't give you enough time to be perfect. We give you enough time to be good enough. And then as you're going through it, you get to see all the imperfections of everything that's going through, and it just makes it a unique experience. I'll put it that way.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, you really showed us the limitations or boundaries of those hitboxes in this run, Eri.
Oof. Yeah, there were a couple of close calls. I took a bit more damage than I would have liked to. I was super close in Thieves Town. I was really close on Ice as well. I had hoped to not have to use the blue path, but in the end it probably sped up the fight anyway. Yeah, GT was not really pretty either, and I took a hit from the Lionel because somehow I've already thought in my head that I had Tempered Sword because I was going to pick that up in Hera, so I just took a Lionel straight to the face. And I don't know the actual boot setup for Hera bots, so I needed to death warp there. So that was another added bonus.
That's another one of the interesting intricacies of spoiler log races is that if you have in your head like I'm gonna go pick up these 3 items, it's really easy to assume that you have those 3 items already, and then do something like run face first into a Lionel, which with green mail or blue mail, honestly not fun, but definitely less fun with green mail.
Yeah, also really nice to see both of you guys do the bomb jumps in Ice Palace. Normally, we don't get to see those very often, because everyone has the cane, but that was not the case here. And really great to see there was really no rust on either of your sides to be able to get those.
I still run NMG, so I still get to do it once in a while, so that's lucky. When I went back from the AD tournament to NMG, it wasn't as smooth anymore, but I don't know what excuse Zelda has.
I just have done enough of these that I'm used to finding Samaria and Ice Palace still, so I just get my practice.
Ooh, I guess that's one way to do it.
Yeah, certainly GG's to the both of you. All 4 games have been amazing to watch, and you guys ran just an amazing series. So thank you so much for participating.
Thank you so much for the raises, Saga. It's been a pleasure. Good luck in the next round. Hope you can get the double revenge. It would be awesome to see.
Yeah, thanks. GG's, man. It kind of sucks that we're 2-2 in this tournament and that one of us has to be out. So that's just kind of the nature of it, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, that happens. I mean, should maybe do a pickup race at some point in the weekend and then see who the true victor is. But again, you've had just so much more experience in this, and it's well deserved.
Yeah, thanks. So I'd look forward to that some weekend. That would be awesome.
Alrighty, so I think that's going to be it for us. Did you guys want to throw in any last words before we close this sucker up?
Well, if anything, I think that Dunka should implement spoiler lock races for the ladder. That's gonna be my last note on this then.
That's an interesting idea, actually.
So I don't want to burst your bubble, Eri. I believe at some point that suggestion was brought up to Dunka, and Dunka was not fond of that suggestion. However, this was, like a month or 2 ago, so maybe he'll have a change of heart if you bring it up specifically.
I can try.
No harm in asking. You might get it. That'd be kind of fun. That'd be chaos. Goodness gracious. I don't know who I'm racing, but I know where all the items are. Alrighty, so I'm going to go ahead and give you guys a reminder. Give both these guys a follow. They're obviously just insanely good at this game, and they showcase that for us today. So give them a follow. Watch them just blow up this game and probably some other games as well. We do have some more races on the docket. None for today, though, so keep an eye on the schedule. Right now, we do have a set of 9:15 p.m. races starting tomorrow and going through tomorrow, Tuesday, and Wednesday if needed. That's going to be a super hype race. I believe that's his second, but I might be incorrect. Other than that, I'm pretty sure that's all I've got. Give our tracker star a follow. She did a great job, in spite of the fact that sometimes the tracker's a potato, and that's just something that you deal with every now and again. But she did a great job keeping up with that and clicking all the buttons for us, making our life easier. And shout outs to my co-com Clearmouse, as always. It's been great commenting with you. That's all I've got. You want to take us out?
Oh yeah, no. Thank you so much again to Eri and Zelda. You guys are the stars of the show. It's really always a pleasure watching you two race. Certainly, Zelda, good luck in the future facing Aussie, your other, as you said, loss in the Swiss tournament. And Eri, I am heartbroken to see you go, but it's kind of unfortunate that your exit was so early, but it's always nonetheless. Hope to see you in other tournaments as well. Yes, and please give a follow to our SpeedGaming channels, and thank you so much for giving us the opportunity to restream this race for you guys.
Yeah, I got to play 10 seeds, so that's more than I expected. So, yeah. Thanks for watching, everyone. Thanks for the comms and the trackers, and see you guys later.
Have a good day, everyone. Stay safe.